All right, guys, we are doing an egg yolk ravioli tonight. We're going to do it with a crab, ricotta, and basil cream filling. I'm going to start out here just by chiffonading the basil. And to do a quick run of this, we're just going to roll it up. And just going to do that a couple more times. The more layers you get, obviously, the finer dice you'll have. Alright, call that good there. And basically the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm just going to fold this basil into the ricotta here. Just kind of mix it, and then basically just kind of lift this up and fold it until we have it mixed fairly evenly. And just kind of mix it up a little bit. Make sure you just don't want to have big clumps of basil. All right, next thing we're going to do here, we're going to go ahead and roll out this pasta dough. I have about 10 ounces of dough here. We're just going to, you can see it's been resting for about an hour outside of the fridge. You want that gluten to kind of break down so you get a nice roll out of it. Reduces that elasticity. I'm going to go ahead and set that there. I'm just going to sprinkle a little flour on our bench here. And just going to give it a real quick kind of press here before we go into the pasta machine here. So, take my bench scraper and I'm just going to chop that in half here. All right, I'm going to send this through in two. I'm going to get both sides just kind of coated a little bit as it goes through the pasta machine here. You'll see that it's as we get it through the first setting, it's obviously going to be a little bit thinner. I'm going to fold it over itself here, send it back through again, small side down. What we're looking for here basically is a laminate. Just kind of want to put some layers into that dough, and it doesn't want to stay put here very well. I'm looking for the most uniform that I can get. So I'm going to kind of roll it into almost like a package here. I'm looking for pretty nice rectangles. Alright, I'm going to come back in a bit. We're going to get two more nice sections out of this. Alright, I got my 4 pieces here. Hoping to get about 6 raviolis out of this. So I really just need, 2 really good equal pieces per size. So we're going to go ahead and come back. We're going to chop these up. Basically want about a 3-inch by 3-inch square. So I'm just going to kind of eyeball it here, and then I'll use this first one that I cut as a guide. You want these to be pretty square, obviously, because, well, exactly square. You don't want any filling coming out. So I'm going to trim that up. And then I'm going to go ahead and use this as a guide. And basically we're going to dump that yolk right in the center. So just like that. Alright, so we are back here. This is the part that I'm probably the most nervous about of everything. I'm actually going to fuse these ravioli together. I'm just going to give it a quick brush. Use a pastry brush here. Just going to get these edges wet. You don't want to brush like that, just kind of use the edge of that. And then we're going to flip this over. Wipe off that excess flour. So the biggest thing that can go wrong here is that you break that yolk. That's what I'm afraid of. Yeah. Basically, I am just going to start crimping along the edges. I want to seal that up as good as possible. As soon as we drop that in the water, if that doesn't have a good seal on it, I'm going to be in trouble. Alright, we're back here. We're going to go ahead and make the lemon butter sauce with a crab topping. I'm going to check and see if my pan's hot. What we're looking for here is just this water's going to skate on top. That's perfect. Water hits and comes together, and you just got some water droplets that are coming right across there. So go ahead and just shake those out there. Alright. I'm going to go ahead and basically drop about 4 tablespoons of butter in. It's going to get a nice sizzle. I do want this to brown a little bit, and you can kind of see it's immediately starting to brown there. I'm going to let that melt all the way. You can see those milk fats are already separating. And I'm going to be adding some cold ingredients here. So the next thing I have is about a teaspoon of lemon. Alright, so basically what I've done is I've just let that butter kind of reduce a little bit, and I'm just going to get a little bit of brown on this crab meat. Obviously the crab meat is already cooked. Alright, I got the water at a rolling boil here. I'm going to go ahead and drop this to a slow simmer. We are dropping pretty delicate ravioli in, so I want to make sure that it's not going to violently shake those apart. Got my ravioli resting right over here. I'm going to set that right there, let that kind of come down to a simmer a little bit more. Have my slotted spatula here. As you can see, that water just kind of coming down to a very slow simmer there. I'm going to cook these one at a time. We're going to go for about 3 minutes here. Fresh pasta cooks a lot faster than dried pasta. If this was dried pasta from a box, we would have to go about 7 or 8 minutes for a nice al dente. The benefit of using a fresh pasta here is if we were going 7 or 8 minutes with boxed pasta, that egg yolk would almost cook to a hard-boiled egg consistency. What we're looking for here is a nice creamy egg. You know, when you cut it, it's going to kind of make a sauce on its own here. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this temperature back up just a bit. Still got some bubbles in there, but I do want to see a few bubbles there. So, alright, turn that temperature up and I see a few bubbles there. So I'm going to go ahead and drop that in. I'm going to hit 3 minutes on my timer. Alright, first one is out. It was intact. Go ahead and Okay, and set our timer for 3 minutes. To drop that in. Start the timer. All right, we have the raviolis out of the water. We're gonna go ahead and plate them here. Got our crab topping here. I went ahead and kind of crisped it up a little bit. There's not a lot of crispiness in this dish. I have kind of a soft pasta. That egg yolk is going to be very, very soft and runny. And then we're going to have, obviously, that ricotta mixture. So went ahead and kind of almost browned that crab meat just to give us a nice little extra crunch, just to make sure that that dish. Also going to go ahead here. We're going to put just a little swirl of our ricotta mixture here, just to kind of almost use as a sauce. All right, we got our final plated dish here. I went ahead and kind of chiffonade that basil instead of a garnish. It's more of an edible garnish now. What I'm looking for here, I'm going to cut right into that egg yolk, and we should have a nice creamy egg yolk just come spilling out of there, just like that. And that's basically going to be in addition to the sauce. So what we have here, we have a egg yolk ravioli stuffed with a basil ricotta mixture, topped with a crispy crab and a lemon butter sauce.